Yara was walking home through a New York alley when she heard a man begging, "I won't do business with criminals," followed by the sound of bones breaking, and instead of running like any sane person, she grabbed a trash can lid and charged into the darkness screaming lies about calling the police, somehow scaring off 5 armed men who were seconds away from killing the most beautiful stranger she'd ever seen. The bloodied Korean CEO named Min Jun stared at her like she was a warrior goddess and said, "You're the bravest person I've ever met." And when she took him to her apartment to clean his wounds, his hand covering hers on his bare chest sent fire racing through her entire body in a way that terrified and thrilled her. What started as a reckless rescue in a dark alley is about to become a dangerous love story that spans multiple cities as they run from the mafia who wants them both dead. And the question Yara can't answer as she's falling for this stranger is whether the heat building between them every time they touch will save them or destroy them. Because the men hunting them don't just want revenge. They want to make an example out of the woman stupid enough to interfere, and Min Jun's about to ask her to trust him with her life in ways that will either prove love is worth dying for or get her killed in front of him as punishment for daring to save his life. The sound of fists hitting flesh made Yara stop dead in her tracks. She was cutting through the alley behind Fifth Avenue, her usual shortcut home after a long day of cooking for rich clients in Manhattan. The October night air was cold, and all she wanted was to kick off her shoes and collapse on her couch. But that sound, that terrible thud of violence, made her freeze. "Please, I told you already, I won't do business with criminals," a man's voice said, strained with pain. Yara peeked around the corner, and her heart jumped into her throat. 5 huge men in dark suits surrounded someone on the ground. One of them kicked the person hard in the ribs. Even from where she stood, she could see blood. Every smart bone in her body screamed at her to run, call the police, stay out of it. This was New York City. You minded your own business if you wanted to stay alive. But Yara had never been good at listening to the smart voice in her head. Her eyes landed on a metal trash can. Before she could think twice, she grabbed the lid like a shield and charged into the alley, banging it with her other hand as loud as she could. "Hey, get away from him! I already called the cops. They're coming right now," she screamed at the top of her lungs. The men spun around, shocked. Yara kept banging and yelling, making as much noise as possible. She could see people starting to peek out of windows above. Lights were turning on. "You crazy woman," one of the men shouted. "I got your faces, all of you, and there are cameras everywhere." Yara lied, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might explode. "The police will find you!" The biggest man took a step toward her, and Yara's courage almost broke. He was twice her size, but she held up her phone, pretending to take pictures, and kept the trash can lid in front of her like a warrior's shield. "We don't have time for this," another man hissed. "Too many witnesses now. Let's go." They ran, their expensive shoes echoing off the alley walls. Yara stood there shaking, unable to believe what she'd just done. The adrenaline was making her dizzy. Then she heard a groan. She rushed to the man on the ground and gasped. Even bloody and beaten, he was the most handsome man she'd ever seen. He had sharp cheekbones, perfect skin, and dark hair that fell across his forehead. He was wearing a suit that probably cost more than her entire month's rent. "Are you okay? Can you stand?" Yara knelt beside him, her hands hovering over him, not sure where to touch without hurting him more. He looked up at her and their eyes met. His were dark brown, almost black, and even through the pain, she saw something spark in them. He stared at her like he was seeing an angel. "You're insane," he whispered, but there was wonder in his voice, not anger. "You could have been killed." "Yeah, well, I didn't think it through," Yara admitted. "Can you move? We need to get you out of here in case they come back." He tried to sit up and winced hard. His white shirt was torn and stained with blood. Yara could see a nasty cut on his side and bruises already forming on his perfect face. My apartment is 2 blocks away. Can you walk if I help you? I can try. His accent was thick, his English careful and precise. Yara wrapped his arm around her shoulders and helped him stand. He was tall and solid, and the feeling of his body against hers made her skin tingle in a way she didn't expect. He smelled good even through the blood and sweat, like expensive cologne and something else, something masculine that made her very aware that she was a woman, and he was definitely a man. They stumbled through the streets together, and Yara kept looking over her shoulder, terrified those men would return. Her apartment building was old and small, nothing fancy, but it was safe. She practically dragged him up 3 flights of stairs, both of them breathing hard by the time they reached her door. Inside, she sat him on her couch and rushed to get her first aid kit. Her hands were shaking as she gathered towels and water. "I'm Yara, by the way," she said, kneeling in front of him. "I should probably know the name of the guy I just rescued." "Min-jun," he said softly, watching her with those intense eyes. "Min-jun Park. Nice to meet you, Min-jun. This is going to hurt." She pressed a wet cloth to the cut on his face, and he sucked in a breath. His jaw tightened, and she noticed how strong it was, how masculine. "Sorry. Don't apologize. You saved my life." His eyes never left her face. "I've never met anyone like you." Yara felt heat rush to her cheeks. She focused on cleaning the blood, trying to ignore how close they were, how her knees were between his legs, how his breath touched her face every time he exhaled. "So, what did you do to make those guys so angry?" she asked, trying to distract herself from thoughts she shouldn't be having about a stranger. "I refused to help them move illegal money through my company," Min-jun said. "I'm a CEO. I came to New York for business meetings. They wanted to use me, and when I said no, they decided to teach me a lesson." "A CEO? Wow. I just cater parties for rich people. I definitely don't usually rescue CEOs in alleys." She smiled a little, and he smiled back, despite the split lip. That smile made her stomach flip. She moved to his side, and he had to lift his shirt so she could see the cut there. When he pulled the fabric up, Yara's mouth went dry. His stomach was all hard muscle, smooth skin, absolute perfection except for the bleeding wound. "Is it bad?" he asked. Yara cleared her throat. "Not too deep. You'll live." She tried to sound casual, but her voice came out husky. She pressed a clean cloth to his side, and he flinched. Her other hand automatically went to his shoulder to steady him, and suddenly they were so close she could feel the heat coming off his body. His hand came up to cover hers on his shoulder. The touch was electric. Both of them froze. The air in the room changed, became thick and warm. Yara looked up from his wound and found Min-jun staring at her with an expression that made her insides melt. It was hunger and fascination, and something deeper. Something that said he saw her, really saw her, and liked what he saw. "Yara," he said, her name like it was precious, and the way his accent wrapped around it made her shiver. "You're beautiful. Has anyone ever told you that?" Her heart was racing again, but for a completely different reason than in the alley. "You hit your head pretty hard. You might be confused." "I'm not confused." His thumb stroked across her knuckles, slow and deliberate. "I'm seeing clearly for the first time in a long time." She should pull away. He was a stranger. He was bleeding on her couch. This was crazy. But she couldn't move. His eyes held her trapped, and she didn't want to escape. "You're pretty good looking yourself," she whispered, "for someone who just got beat up." He laughed, then winced because it hurt. But he kept smiling at her, and she kept smiling back. And her hand was still on his shoulder, and his hand was still covering hers. And the tension between them was so thick you could cut it with a knife. "I should finish bandaging you," Yara finally said, but she didn't move. "Yes," Min-jun agreed, but he didn't let go of her hand. When she finally did pull away to get bandages, her whole arm felt cold from the loss of his touch. She wrapped his ribs carefully, her fingers brushing his skin more than was probably necessary. Every touch made the air grow warmer. "You need to stay here tonight," Yara said when she was done. "You can't go back to your hotel. What if those men are looking for you?" "I don't want to put you in danger." "Too late. I'm already in it. Besides, I have a baseball bat, and I'm clearly not afraid to use random objects as weapons." She tried to joke, but worry crept into her voice. "They saw my face too. What if they come after me?" Minjun's expression turned dark and protective. He reached out and took her hand again, holding it firmly. "I won't let anyone hurt you. I promise you that, Yara. You saved me, and now I'll protect you." The way he said it, with such fierce certainty, made her believe him, made her feel safe despite everything. "Okay," she whispered. They stared at each other in the dim light of her tiny apartment. Two strangers brought together by violence, connected now by something neither of them could name, but both of them could feel. Minjun lifted her hand and pressed his lips to her knuckles, a soft kiss that sent electricity shooting up her arm. His eyes stayed locked on hers the entire time. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for being brave enough to save a stranger." Yara's breath caught. The kiss on her hand felt more intimate than it should, more promising, like it was the first of many kisses to come. "You're welcome," she managed to say. She knew in that moment, with his lips still warm on her skin and his eyes burning into hers, that her life had just changed forever. This beautiful, mysterious man bleeding on her couch was going to turn her world upside down. She just didn't know yet how dangerous and how wonderful that would be. Morning sunlight streaming through her curtains woke Yara up, and for a moment she forgot about everything. Then she remembered the handsome CEO sleeping on her couch, and her eyes flew open. She found Minjun already awake, sitting up and looking at his phone with a serious expression. Even with bruises on his face and wearing his wrinkled, blood-stained shirt, he looked like he belonged on a magazine cover. "Good morning," Yara said softly. He looked up, and his whole face changed, softening into a smile that made her stomach do flips. "Good morning. Did you sleep well? Better than you, probably. That couch is terrible." She walked over, suddenly very aware that she was wearing just a tank top and pajama shorts. His eyes travelled down her body and back up, slow and appreciating, leaving heat everywhere they touched. "I've slept in worse places." He stood up, wincing slightly. "Yara, we need to talk about something serious." The tone of his voice made her nervous. "Okay, those men last night, they're part of a very dangerous organisation. They have connections everywhere. You saw their faces, and they saw yours." He moved closer to her, his expression intense and worried. "I can't leave you here alone. They might come looking for witnesses." Fear crept up her spine. "What are you saying?" "Come with me to Los Angeles. I have a penthouse there, very secure. You'll be safe while I figure out how to handle this situation." He reached out and tucked a strand of her hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering on her cheek. "Please, I can't leave you in danger because of me." His touch made her skin tingle. She should say no. This was crazy. She had a business to run, a life here. But looking into his dark eyes, feeling the warmth of his hand on her face, she found herself nodding. "Okay, but I need to make some calls. Cancel my catering jobs for the next week. Take 2 weeks. Take a month. I'll compensate you for any lost income." He said it like money was nothing, and she supposed for a CEO it wasn't. 3 hours later, Yara found herself on a private jet, sitting in a leather seat so comfortable it felt like a cloud. Minjun sat across from her, his long legs stretched out, watching her reaction to everything with an amused smile. "This is insane," she muttered. looking around at the luxury. Yesterday, I was catering a party. Today, I'm on a private jet with a Korean CEO. Life changes fast sometimes. He leaned forward, his knees almost touching hers. Are you scared? Of the dangerous men? Yes. Of this? She gestured between them. Also, yes, but in a different way. What way? Yara met his eyes. The way that makes my heart race when you look at me like that. Heat flared in his gaze. Like what? Like you want to do more than just look. The air between them grew thick and charged. Minjun stood and moved to sit beside her, so close their thighs touched. He smelled amazing, clean and masculine and expensive. Would that be so bad? His voice was low, intimate. If I wanted more than looking. Her breath caught. We barely know each other. I know you're brave. I know you're kind. I know that when you touch me, I feel more alive than I have in years. His hand found hers, fingers intertwining. I know I can't stop thinking about you. Minjun, she whispered, but didn't know what else to say. He lifted their joined hands and kissed her fingers, one by one, his lips soft and warm. Each kiss sent sparks through her body. His eyes never left hers, watching her reactions, seeing how she trembled. Tell me to stop, he murmured against her skin. She couldn't. She didn't want him to stop. Instead, she leaned closer, and he wrapped his free arm around her waist, pulling her against him. They stayed like that, wrapped together, breathing each other's air, lips inches apart, but not quite touching, building the tension until it was almost unbearable. When they landed in Los Angeles, Yara felt dizzy, and it wasn't from the flight. The penthouse took her breath away. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the entire city sparkling below. Everything was modern and expensive, all clean lines and perfect design. The guest room is down that hall, Minjun said, setting down her small bag. But I hope you'll spend time out here with me. I don't want you to feel like a prisoner. This is the fanciest prison I've ever seen. She walked to the windows, staring out at Los Angeles. She felt him come up behind her, close enough that she could feel his body heat. Yara. His voice was right by her ear, making her shiver. I need to tell you something. What? I haven't been able to stop thinking about kissing you since the moment I saw you in that alley. Her heart hammered. That's probably the head injury talking. Stop deflecting. His hand settled on her waist, and she sucked in a breath. Turn around. She turned, and suddenly they were face to face, his hands still on her waist, her back against the cool glass. He was so tall, so broad, and the way he looked at her made her feel like she was the only woman in the world. This is a bad idea, she whispered. Probably. He leaned closer. Do you want me to stop? No. That was all the permission he needed. His lips crashed onto hers, and Yara's whole body lit up like fire. The kiss was hungry, desperate, like he'd been starving for her. She kissed him back just as fiercely, her hand sliding up his chest to grip his shoulders. He pressed her harder against the window, his body covering hers, and she could feel every muscle, every plane of him. His tongue swept into her mouth, and she moaned, the sound making him growl low in his throat. His hands moved from her waist to her hips, pulling her against him, and she felt exactly how much he wanted her. It should have scared her. Instead, it made her bolder. She ran her fingers through his hair, tugging slightly, and he groaned into her mouth. Yara! He breathed against her lips. You're driving me crazy. Good. She pulled him back down for another kiss. This one slower, deeper, full of promise. They kissed until they were both breathless, until her lips were swollen and his hair was a mess from her fingers. When they finally pulled apart, they were both breathing hard. I should shower, Minjun said, his voice rough, and change. These clothes are ruined. Okay. But neither of them moved. He kissed her again, quick and sweet this time, Make yourself at home. Everything here is yours." After he left, Yara collapsed onto the couch, her whole body still tingling. What was she doing? She'd known this man for less than 24 hours, and she was already falling for him. That night, she couldn't sleep. The guest room was beautiful, but felt too empty, too quiet. She kept thinking about Min-jun just down the hall, kept remembering how his lips felt on hers, how his hands gripped her waist like he never wanted to let go. Around midnight, she heard sounds, footsteps in the hallway. Then, nothing. She waited, heart pounding. More footsteps, pacing back and forth. She got up and peeked out her door. Min-jun was in the hallway, wearing just pajama pants, his muscular chest bare. Even in the dim light, she could see the bandages she'd wrapped around his ribs. "Can't sleep?" she asked softly. He spun around. "I didn't mean to wake you." "You didn't. I couldn't sleep either." They stared at each other across the hallway, the tension crackling between them. "Yara, go back to bed," he said. But his voice was strained. "Why?" "Because if you don't, I'm going to come over there and kiss you again, and I'm not sure I'll be able to stop this time." Her breath caught. She should go back to her room. This was too fast, too intense, but her body had other ideas. She took a step toward him. "Maybe I don't want you to stop." His eyes went dark with desire. "Don't say things like that unless you mean them." "I mean them." Another step closer. "I've never felt like this before, Min-jun. It's scary and exciting, and I can't stop thinking about you." He closed the distance between them in 2 long strides, cupping her face in his hands. "I feel the same way. From the moment I saw you charging into that alley like a warrior, I was lost." This kiss was different from the others, slower, deeper, full of emotion that went beyond just physical attraction. He walked her backward into her room, kicking the door shut behind them, never breaking the kiss. They fell onto the bed together, and his weight on top of her felt perfect, felt right. His hands explored her body over her thin nightshirt, and everywhere he touched burned. She arched into him, wanting more, needing more. "Tell me to stop," he murmured against her neck, kissing the sensitive skin there. "Don't stop, please don't stop." He pulled back to look at her, his eyes searching hers. "Are you sure? We can wait. We should wait." "I don't want to wait. I want you, now." Something fierce and possessive flashed in his eyes. He kissed her again, his hands sliding under her shirt, skin to skin, and Yara gasped at the sensation. "You're so beautiful," he whispered, pulling her shirt over her head. His eyes travelled over her body with such hunger that she felt powerful, desired, wanted in a way she'd never experienced before. She reached for the button of his pajama pants, and he sucked in a sharp breath. "Yara, I want to see all of you." Her voice was bold, but her hands trembled slightly. He helped her. And then there was nothing between them, just skin and heat and want. He took his time, his hands and lips exploring every inch of her, learning what made her gasp, what made her moan his name. When they finally came together, it was intense and intimate and perfect. He moved slowly at first, watching her face, making sure she was okay, that she felt good. She pulled him closer, deeper, and they found a rhythm together that felt like they'd been made for each other. "Look at me," he commanded softly, and when she did, when their eyes locked, the connection was so powerful it took her breath away. Afterward, they lay tangled together, sweaty and breathless and satisfied. Min-jun held her close, his fingers tracing patterns on her back. "Stay with me tonight," he whispered. "Don't go back to the guest room." "Okay." She snuggled closer, feeling safe and cherished in his arms. "Yara?" His voice was serious now. "This isn't just physical for me. I need you to know that. You're not just some woman I'm attracted to. You're special. What we have is special." She lifted her head to look at him. "I feel it too. It's crazy and fast. But I feel it. He kissed her forehead tenderly. Then, let's stop fighting it. Let's see where this goes. She smiled and kissed his chest, right over his heart. Okay. They fell asleep, wrapped around each other, and for the first time in years, Min-jun slept peacefully through the night, and Yara dreamed of a future she'd never dared to imagine before, a future that included this beautiful, mysterious man who looked at her like she was his whole world. 5 days in Los Angeles passed like a dream. Min-jun took Yara to fancy restaurants where she tried food she couldn't even pronounce. They walked on the beach at sunset, holding hands like teenagers. Every night, they fell into bed together, learning each other's bodies, whispering secrets in the dark. But on the 6th morning, Min-jun's face was troubled. We need to leave, he said, looking at his phone with a frown. My security team says there's been suspicious activity near the building. Someone asking questions about me, about whether I have anyone staying with me. Fear shot through Yara. They found us. Not yet, but we're not taking chances. He pulled her close. Pack your things. We're going to Miami. I have a safe place there. 2 hours later, they were on another private jet, heading east. Yara watched Min-jun's face, seeing the stress and worry there, and her heart ached for him. Hey, she said softly, taking his hand. We'll be okay. He looked at her, and his expression softened. How are you so calm about all this? Because I'm with you. She squeezed his fingers. And because I've decided that life's too short to spend it being scared. Those men want to frighten us, control us. I won't give them that power. Min-jun pulled her onto his lap, and she gasped at the sudden movement, his arms wrapped around her waist, holding her close. You're amazing, he murmured, his lips brushing her ear. Strong and brave and beautiful. I don't deserve you. Stop talking nonsense. She turned her head, and their lips were inches apart. You deserve everything good in this world. He kissed her then, soft and sweet, and she melted into him. The kiss deepened, became more heated, and his hands slid up her thighs under her skirt. Min-jun, she gasped. We're on a plane. A private plane. His teeth grazed her neck. With a very soundproof bedroom in the back. Heat pooled low in her belly. That's very presumptuous of you. Is it working? His hand moved higher and she trembled. Yes. She stood up, grabbed his hand and pulled him toward the back of the plane. His laugh was low and pleased as he followed her. Miami was hot and humid, the air thick with the smell of ocean and tropical flowers. The hotel suite Min-jun had booked overlooked the beach, with a huge balcony and a view that seemed to stretch forever. It's beautiful, Yara breathed, standing at the railing and looking out at the turquoise water. Min-jun came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist and resting his chin on her shoulder. Not as beautiful as you, she laughed. That's such a cheesy line. It's true, though. He turned her around to face him, and the look in his eyes made her breath catch. Yara, these past few days with you have been the happiest of my life. Mine too. She touched his face gently, tracing the bruises that were finally starting to fade. Even with all the danger and running, I've never felt more alive. I have something to tell you. He looked nervous suddenly, which was strange on someone usually so confident. I've been thinking about this a lot, and I need you to know. What is it? I'm falling in love with you. The world seemed to stop. Yara stared at him, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might burst out of her chest. It's too soon, I know, he continued quickly. We've only known each other a week, but I can't help how I feel. Every moment with you, I fall harder. The way you laugh, the way you're not impressed by my money, the way you look at me like I'm just a man, not a CEO or a title. You make me feel real, Yara. You make me feel like myself. Tears pricked her eyes. Min-jun. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. Whatever happens, wherever this goes, I need you to know that you changed my life. You saved me in more ways than just that alley. Stop talking. She pulled his face down and kissed him hard, pouring all her feelings into it. When they broke apart, they were both breathing hard. I'm falling in love with you too. Maybe I already have. I don't know when it happened, if it was when you first looked at me, or when you held my hand on the plane, or when you made love to me like I was precious. But I love you, Minjun. I love you. His eyes shone with emotion. He picked her up, and she wrapped her legs around his waist as he carried her inside, kissing her the whole way. They didn't make it to the bedroom, falling onto the couch instead, desperate for each other. That evening, they walked along Miami Beach as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple. The sand was warm under their bare feet, and the sound of waves was soothing. Tell me about your life before, Yara said. Before the CEO part, when you were just Minjun. He was quiet for a moment, his thumb stroking her hand. I grew up poor in Seoul. My mother worked 3 jobs to keep us fed. I studied constantly, got scholarships, worked my way up. By the time I was 30, I'd built my company from nothing. But success is lonely, Yara. I had money, power, respect, but I didn't have anyone who loved me for just me. Everyone wanted something, until you. She stopped walking and turned to face him. Your mother must be so proud of you. She passed away 2 years ago. Heart attack. His voice was sad. She never got to enjoy the good life I wanted to give her. She worked herself to death so I could succeed. Oh, Minjun. Yara hugged him tight. I'm so sorry. He held her close, his face buried in her neck. Thank you for listening. I don't talk about her much. It hurts too much. You can always talk to me about anything. I'm here. He pulled back and looked at her, his eyes intense. What about you? Tell me your story. Not much to tell. My parents immigrated from Nigeria when I was 5. They worked hard, saved money, sent me to college. I studied business and culinary arts, started my catering company 3 years ago. It's small, but it's mine, you know? I built it from nothing, just like you. That's why we understand each other. He tucked her hair behind her ear. We both know what it's like to fight for what we want. Exactly. They kept walking and somehow ended up at a small beach bar with reggae music playing and strings of lights creating a warm glow. Minjun ordered them fancy cocktails with little umbrellas, and they sat at a table right on the sand. Dance with me, he said suddenly. What? Here. Why not? He stood and held out his hand. Dance with me, Yara. She laughed and took his hand, and he pulled her close. They swayed together to the music. Not really dancing properly, just holding each other and moving. His hands were on her lower back, pressing her against him. Her arms were around his neck, her fingers playing with his hair. I could stay like this forever, she whispered. So could I. The song changed to something slower, more romantic, and they barely moved now, just held each other as the ocean breeze blew around them and the stars came out above. Yara, he said softly, no matter what happens with those dangerous men, no matter where life takes us, I want you to know something. What? You're mine now, and I'm yours. I don't say that to control you or own you. I say it because my heart belongs to you completely. Every beat, every breath, it's all for you. Tears slid down her cheeks. You're going to make me cry. Happy tears, I hope. The happiest. She kissed him, tasting salt from her tears and the sweet cocktail on his lips. I'm yours, Minjun, completely yours. The kiss deepened, became more urgent. His hands gripped her hips, pulling her flush against him, and she could feel how much he wanted her. They were in public, on a beach, but neither of them cared. Their kiss was all that mattered. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Minjun's eyes were dark with desire. We should go back to the hotel, he said, his voice rough. Yes. She couldn't get the word out fast enough. They practically ran back, holding hands, laughing breathlessly. In the elevator, he pushed her against the wall and kissed her deeply, his hands everywhere, and she moaned into his mouth. The doors opened, and they stumbled out, still kissing, fumbling with the keycard. Finally, they got the door open and fell inside. Minjun kicked the door shut and lifted Yara, her legs wrapping around his waist automatically. He carried her to the balcony, setting her down on the railing and stepping between her legs. "Out here," she gasped. "The view is private. No one can see." His hands slid up her thighs, under her sundress. "I want to make love to you under the stars." "Yes." She pulled him closer. "Yes." He undressed her slowly, reverently, his eyes worshipping every inch of skin he revealed. When she was bare to the warm night air, she reached for his shirt, unbuttoning it with shaking fingers. "You're trembling," he murmured. "Because I want you so much it scares me." "Don't be scared." He kissed her softly. "I'll take care of you. Always." And he did. He made love to her slowly, thoroughly, taking his time to make sure she felt cherished, adored, loved. The ocean breeze cooled their heated skin, the sound of waves mixed with their gasps and moans, and when they came together, they looked into each other's eyes, and Yara felt like she could see into his soul. Afterward, he carried her to bed, and they lay tangled together, sticky with sweat and satisfaction. "I love you," he whispered, kissing her forehead. "I love you too." She snuggled closer. "So much. Yara, I want you to know something. When this is all over, when we're safe, I want to build a life with you, a real life. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to come home to you every night. I want everything with you." Her heart swelled. "I want that too. Promise me something. Anything. Promise me that no matter what happens, you won't leave me, that we'll face whatever comes together." She lifted her head and looked at him seriously. "I promise. We're in this together, Minjun. You and me against the world." He kissed her deeply, sealing the promise. And as they fell asleep in each other's arms, both of them felt like they'd finally found where they belonged. Miami's paradise lasted 3 perfect days before Minjun's phone rang with bad news. "We need to go to Chicago," he said, his face grim. "I have an important business meeting I can't miss. My lawyers say if I don't show up, I could lose control of my company." "Then we'll go." Yara was packing before he even finished talking. He caught her hand. "Yara, Chicago is dangerous. It's where the organization has a lot of power. We'll have to be extra careful." She faced him squarely. "I'm not afraid. Not when I'm with you." His eyes softened and he pulled her into a fierce hug. "How did I get so lucky?" "You got beat up in the right alley." She tried to joke, but he didn't laugh. She pulled back and saw real fear in his eyes. "Hey, what's wrong?" "I couldn't bear it if something happened to you because of me, if they hurt you." His voice broke. "They won't. We're smart, we're careful, and we have each other. That's all we need." She kissed him softly. "Trust me." "I do. With my life." Chicago was cold and windy, a complete contrast to Miami's warmth. The hotel Minjun chose was in the heart of downtown, tall and modern and supposedly secure, but Yara could feel the tension in his body as they checked in. "Stay in the room while I'm at my meeting," he said, cupping her face. "Please, don't leave for any reason." "I won't." "Promise me." "I promise. Now go. Do your CEO thing. I'll be here when you get back." She kissed him. "And then I'll help you relax." Heat flared in his eyes. "That's not fair. Now I won't be able to focus on business." "Good. Think of me instead." She smiled wickedly, and he groaned. "You're killing me." He kissed her one more time, deep and possessive. "I'll be back in 3 hours. Lock the door. Don't open it for anyone but me." After he left, Yara tried to relax, but nervousness ate at her. She paced the room, checked her phone constantly, jumped at every sound in the hallway. Something felt wrong, but she couldn't explain what. An hour passed, then 2. Minjun texted that the meeting was running long, not to worry. But she worried anyway. Then she heard it. Voices in the hallway. Lots of them. Angry voices speaking in a language she didn't understand. But the tone was clear. They were looking for something. Or someone. Her blood turned to ice. She grabbed her phone and texted Minjun, "Someone's in the hallway. I'm scared." His response was immediate. "Lock yourself in the bathroom. I'm coming. 10 minutes." The door handle rattled. Someone was trying to get in. Yara ran to the bathroom and locked the door, her heart pounding so hard she felt sick. She heard the main door crash open, heavy footsteps. More voices. They were inside the room. "She's not here," someone said in English. "Check everywhere. The boss wants her found." Yara pressed her hand over her mouth to keep from making noise. They were looking for her. They'd found her. The bathroom door handle rattled. Someone pushed against the door, and it shook in its frame. "Locked," the voice said. "Break it down." This was it. She was trapped. Tears streamed down her face as she realized she might never see Minjun again, never feel his arms around her, never tell him one more time that she loved him. The door shuddered as someone slammed against it. It wouldn't hold much longer. Then she heard the most beautiful sound in the world. Minjun's voice, loud and commanding. "Get away from her!" A scuffle. Sounds of fighting. Something crashed. Men shouted. More crashing. "Yara, open the door!" Minjun's voice. She fumbled with the lock and threw open the door. Minjun stood there, breathing hard, his suit torn, blood on his knuckles. Behind him, 3 men were on the floor, groaning. Security guards in hotel uniforms stood over them. "Minjun!" She threw herself at him, and he caught her, holding her so tight she couldn't breathe. "You're okay! You're okay!" He kept saying it like a prayer. "I've got you! I've got you!" "How did you know?" "I had security watching the hotel. They alerted me the second suspicious men entered. I broke every traffic law getting here." He pulled back to look at her, his hands frantically checking her for injuries. "Did they hurt you?" "No. You got here in time." She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. "We need to leave. Now. Chicago isn't safe." He kept his arm around her as they rushed out, security surrounding them. In the car, speeding to the airport, Yara couldn't stop trembling. Minjun held her close, murmuring Korean words she didn't understand, but found soothing anyway. "I'm sorry," he said. "I'm so sorry. This is my fault. I should have never brought you here." "Stop. This isn't your fault. Those men are criminals. You didn't ask for any of this. But you're in danger because of me." She grabbed his face, making him look at her. "Listen to me. I'm in this with you by choice. My choice. I love you, and I'm not going anywhere, no matter how scary things get. Do you understand?" He stared at her like she was a miracle. "I don't deserve you." "Yes, you do. Now kiss me before I change my mind about this whole running from the mafia thing." He laughed, actually laughed, and kissed her deeply. "I love you so much. I love you too." On the plane, safe in the air, Yara finally let herself fall apart. She cried against Minjun's chest, all the fear she'd been holding in coming out in big, ugly sobs. "Shh, I've got you," he whispered, rocking her gently. "You're safe now. I've got you." "I was so scared. I thought they were going to take me. I thought I'd never see you again." "But you did. I found you. I'll always find you." He tilted her face up and kissed away her tears. "Always, Yara. No matter what." She kissed him desperately, needing to feel alive, needing to feel him. The kiss turned hungry, frantic, and before she knew it, she was straddling him in the seat, his hands gripping her hips. "I need you," she gasped against his lips. "Right now. I need to feel alive." "Here?" His eyes were dark with desire. "I don't care where. I just need you." He stood with her still wrapped around him and carried her to the bedroom in the back. They didn't bother with gentle. They came together, fierce and fast, claiming each other, reassuring themselves they were both alive and safe and together. Afterward, lying in the narrow bed, Min-jun traced patterns on her bare shoulder. "I'm going to end this," he said quietly. "I have evidence against them. I've been working with the FBI. I was going to wait, build a stronger case, but I can't anymore. Not after today. I'm giving them everything tomorrow." Yara lifted her head. "Is it enough to stop them?" "Yes. It'll put the leaders away for life. But Yara, there's something you need to know. They'll need you to testify. You're a witness. You saw their faces that first night." Fear tried to creep back in, but she pushed it away. "Then I'll testify. I'll help put them away so they can't hurt anyone else." "You're so brave." He kissed her forehead. "Braver than anyone I've ever known." "I'm not brave. I'm terrified. But I'm more terrified of living in fear forever. So we do this. We end it. And then we get our life back." "Our life. I like the sound of that." She snuggled closer. "Me too." "Yara, when this is over, will you move to Los Angeles with me? I know it's a big ask. You have your business in New York, but I want to wake up next to you every day. I want to build a home with you." Her heart soared. "Yes, yes, I'll move to Los Angeles with you." He rolled her onto her back, hovering over her with a huge smile. "Really? Really? My business can operate from anywhere. And home isn't a place. It's you. Wherever you are, that's home." He kissed her slowly, tenderly, full of love and promise. "I'm going to spend the rest of my life making you happy." "You already do." She pulled him down for another kiss. "You already do." They made love again, slower this time, savouring each other, celebrating life and love and the future they were building together. And when they fell asleep, tangled together, both felt like they'd survived the worst and could survive anything as long as they had each other. The FBI meeting happened in a secure office building with no windows and armed guards everywhere. Yara sat outside while Min-jun gave his evidence, his testimony, everything he had against the criminal organization. When he finally emerged 3 hours later, he looked exhausted, but relieved. "It's done," he said, pulling her into his arms. "They have enough to make arrests within the week. The agent said you might not even need to testify. My evidence and the security footage from the hotel should be sufficient." "Really? Is it really over?" "Almost. We need to stay in protective custody for a few more days, just to be safe. But then we're free. Really free." Tears of relief slid down Yara's cheeks. "I can't believe it. Believe it." He wiped away her tears with his thumbs. "Now we can start our life together. No more running, no more fear." The FBI put them up in a safe house in Las Vegas of all places. It was a normal suburban house, nothing fancy, but it felt like paradise because they were safe. That first night, lying in bed together, Min-jun was quiet. "What are you thinking about?" Yara asked, running her fingers through his hair. "That I almost lost you. That I came this close to never having this, never having you." His voice was thick with emotion. "Yara, I don't want to waste any more time." "What do you mean?" He sat up suddenly, turning to face her with an intensity that took her breath away. "I love you. I want to spend my life with you. I don't want to wait months or years. I want to start our forever right now." Her heart raced. "Min-jun, what are you saying? Marry me." He took her hand, holding it tight. "I don't have a ring right now, but I'll get you the most beautiful one in the world. Marry me, Yara. Be my wife. Let me be your husband. Let's build a life together, starting today." She stared at him, shocked, speechless. "You want to marry me? Now? We've only known each other 2 weeks. I don't care. Some people date for years and never feel what I feel for you. I know you're the one, Yara. I've known since you charged into that alley with a trash can lid like some kind of warrior goddess. I knew when you took me to your apartment and bandaged my wounds with such gentle hands. I knew when you made love to me and looked at me like I was the most important person in your world. I know it now, and I'll know it 50 years from now. So marry me, please. Tears streamed down her face. Her heart felt so full she thought it might explode. Yes, yes, I'll marry you. He pulled her into his arms, kissing her over and over, laughing and crying at the same time. Really? You mean it? I mean it. I love you, Min-jun. I want to be your wife. I want everything with you. He kissed her deeply, passionately, and they fell back onto the bed together. We're getting married, he said between kisses. We're actually getting married. When? She laughed, giddy with happiness. He pulled back and looked at her with mischief in his eyes. Now. Tomorrow. This week. We're in Las Vegas. We can get married whenever we want. Are you serious? Completely serious. Unless you want a big wedding with your family and friends. Then I'll wait. I'll wait as long as you need. Yara thought about it. A big wedding would be nice, but it would take months to plan. And the truth was, she didn't want to wait either. She wanted to be his wife now, wanted to start their life together immediately. Let's do it, she said. Let's get married in Las Vegas. His smile was brighter than the sun. Tomorrow. I'll arrange everything. I'll get you the most beautiful dress, the most perfect ring. I'll make it special. I promise. It'll be special because it's us. She kissed him softly. That's all I need. The next day, Min-jun disappeared for hours while Yara waited nervously at the safe house. When he returned, he had shopping bags and a mysterious smile. Close your eyes, he said. Why? Just trust me. She closed her eyes and she heard him moving around, opening bags. Then his hands took hers. Okay, open. She opened her eyes and gasped. He was on one knee, holding out a ring box. Inside was the most stunning diamond ring she'd ever seen. A huge center stone surrounded by smaller diamonds that sparkled like stars. Yara, I know I already asked you last night, but I wanted to do it properly. You deserve romance and tradition and all the things that make this moment special. He took her hand, and his was trembling slightly. I love you more than I knew it was possible to love someone. You're my best friend, my lover, my partner, my everything. Will you marry me and make me the happiest man alive? More tears fell down her face. Yes, 1,000 times yes. He slid the ring onto her finger, and it fit perfectly. Then he stood and kissed her, spinning her around until she was dizzy and laughing. Now, get dressed. I'm taking you to get the perfect wedding dress. The bridal boutique was small but elegant, and the owner clearly had been paid well to open just for them. Yara tried on dress after dress, each one more beautiful than the last. But when she put on a simple white gown that hugged her curves and flowed to the floor, Min-jun's face told her everything. That's the one, he breathed. You look like an angel. She looked at herself in the mirror and smiled. She felt like a bride. She felt beautiful. That evening, as the sun set over Las Vegas, they stood in a small, elegant chapel. There were no guests, just them and the minister, and 2 witnesses the chapel provided. But it was perfect. Min-jun wore a black suit that made him look like a movie star. Yara wore her white dress and held a bouquet of red roses he'd gotten for her. When the music started and she walked down the short aisle toward him, his eyes filled with tears. You're so beautiful, he mouthed. She reached him and took his hands, and they were both shaking. The ceremony was short and sweet. They said traditional vows, promising to love and honor each other for the rest of their lives. When it came time for the rings, Min-jun slid a matching wedding band onto her finger below her engagement ring. She slid a simple platinum band onto his finger, and her heart swelled at the sight of it there, marking him as hers. You may kiss your bride, the minister said with a smile. Minjun cupped Yara's face gently and kissed her with so much love and tenderness that her knees went weak. She kissed him back, pouring all her feelings into it, and distantly she heard the witnesses clapping. "I present to you Mr. and Mrs. Park," the minister announced. Mrs. Park. She was Mrs. Park now. Yara Park. She liked the sound of that. They signed the marriage certificate, making it official, legal, real. When they walked out of the chapel into the warm Vegas night, they were husband and wife. "How does it feel to be married?" Minjun asked, his arm around her waist. "Perfect. How does it feel for you?" "Like I've finally found where I belong." He stopped walking and turned to face her. "Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for taking a chance on me. Thank you for being brave enough to ask." She touched his face lovingly. "I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with you." He picked her up and spun her around right there on the Vegas street, and she laughed, feeling young and carefree and so deeply in love it almost hurt. Back at the safe house, Minjun carried her over the threshold like tradition demanded. He set her down gently and immediately started kissing her, his hands moving to the zipper of her dress. "Wait," she said breathlessly. "I want to remember this. Our wedding night." He slowed down, his eyes dark with desire, but also tender. "Then we'll make it unforgettable." He undressed her slowly, reverently, kissing every inch of skin he revealed. When she stood before him in just her white lingerie, his breath caught. "My wife," he whispered. "My beautiful wife." She helped him out of his suit, taking her time, savouring the moment. When they were both bare, they stood facing each other, taking in the sight. "I love you," they said at the same time, then laughed. Minjun lifted her and carried her to bed, laying her down gently. He made love to her with such tenderness, such devotion, that tears leaked from the corners of her eyes. This wasn't just physical. This was two souls joining, two hearts becoming one. "Look at me," he said softly. And when she did, the emotion in his eyes took her breath away. "I'm going to love you every day for the rest of my life. I'm going to wake up grateful that you're mine. I'm going to work every day to deserve you. You already deserve me, and I'm going to love you just as much. You're stuck with me now." He smiled and kissed her deeply. "Best thing I've ever been stuck with." They made love slowly, taking their time, making it last, and when they finally came together, they both whispered, "I love you," their voices mixing together like a prayer. Afterward, lying in the tangled sheets, Yara traced her fingers over the ring on Minjun's hand. "We're really married," she said wonderingly. "We really are." Having second thoughts. He was teasing, but she heard the tiny note of insecurity, not even a little bit. "This is the best decision I've ever made." He pulled her on top of him, his hands stroking her back. "Same. I keep thinking about how different my life would be if you hadn't walked down that alley, if you hadn't been brave enough to help a stranger." "Fate," Yara said. "It had to be fate that put me there at exactly the right moment. I believe in fate now. I believe we were meant to find each other." He kissed her forehead. "What do you want to do tomorrow? We have a few more days before it's safe to leave." "Stay in bed with you." He laughed. "I like that plan. Though we should probably eat at some point." "Fine. We'll order room service and eat it in bed, then go right back to what we were doing." "You're insatiable, Mrs. Park." She loved hearing him call her that. "Only with you." His eyes heated up again. "Good, because I plan on keeping you very busy for the rest of our lives." "Is that a promise?" "It's a guarantee." He rolled her onto her back and kissed her deeply, starting right now. They made love again and again, celebrating their marriage, their love, their future. And as they finally drifted off to sleep in the early hours of morning, wrapped around each other, both of them felt complete. The next morning, Yara woke to find Minjun watching her with a soft smile. Good morning, wife. She grinned. Good morning, husband. How long have you been awake? An hour. I couldn't stop watching you sleep. You're so beautiful, and I still can't believe you're really mine. She stretched and kissed him. I'm really yours. Forever. Forever, he repeated, like he was testing out the word. I like the sound of that. His phone buzzed, and he checked it with a frown. Then his face cleared, and he smiled. The FBI just texted. They made the arrests. All the leaders of the organization are in custody. It's really over, Yara. We're safe. Relief flooded through her. Really? It's really done. Really done. We can go home. We can start our life. He kissed her excitedly. We can tell the world you're my wife. We can make plans. We can do everything. She laughed at his enthusiasm. Yes to all of that. But first, breakfast. I'm starving. Because I kept you up all night? He looked proud of himself. Exactly. Feed your wife. He jumped out of bed, not bothering with clothes, and grabbed the room service menu. Yara admired the view, still amazed that this gorgeous, successful, wonderful man was her husband. What are you thinking? He asked, catching her staring. That I'm the luckiest woman in the world. Wrong. I'm the luckiest man. He came back to bed and pulled her close. And I'm going to spend every day proving that to you. I'm going to hold you to that. Please do. He kissed her deeply. For the next 50 or 60 years, deal. They stayed in Vegas for 2 more days, spending most of it in bed, talking and laughing and making love and planning their future. They talked about where they'd live in Los Angeles, how Yara would expand her business there, how Min-Jun would balance work and home life to make sure they had plenty of time together. I want kids, Min-Jun said one night, his hand resting on her stomach. Not right away, but someday. I want to have a family with you. Yara's heart swelled. I want that too. 2 or 3 kids, running around our house, driving us crazy. They'll be beautiful like you. And smart like you. Stubborn like both of us. He grinned. Oh no, the world isn't ready for that. They laughed and kissed, and Yara felt like her life was a fairy tale. The kind where the brave girl saves the prince and they fall in love and live happily ever after. Except this wasn't a fairy tale. This was real, and it was better than any story because it was theirs. On their last night in Vegas, they walked the strip hand in hand, just 2 newlyweds enjoying the bright lights and energy of the city. Thank you, Min-Jun said suddenly. For what? For everything. For saving my life, for taking a chance on me, for loving me, for marrying me, for being exactly who you are. Yara stopped walking and faced him. You saved me too, you know. Before I met you, I was just going through the motions. Work, home, sleep, repeat. You made me feel alive again. You made me believe in love. So, thank you too. He kissed her right there under the neon lights. And people walked around them, but neither of them cared. They were in their own world, a world of just the 2 of them. Ready to start our forever? He asked against her lips. I've been ready since the moment I saw you. Even bloody and beaten in an alley. Even then. Maybe especially then. Because that's when I saw how strong you were, how brave. That's when I started falling. His eyes shone with emotion. I love you so much, Yara Park. I love you too, Min-Jun Park. Now take me home. Home to Los Angeles. Home to wherever you are. That's all the home I need. He picked her up and spun her around, laughing, and Yara threw her head back and laughed with him, feeling free and happy and so incredibly in love. Their story had started in violence and danger, but it was ending in love and joy and promise, and this wasn't really an ending at all. It was just the beginning of their greatest adventure, building a life together, one day at a time, one kiss at a time, one moment at a time, forever. 3 months after their Vegas wedding, Yara stood in the courthouse, her hand gripping Minjun's under the table. The final trial was happening today. The last members of the criminal organization were being sentenced, and she'd given her testimony earlier that week. The judge's gavel came down with a satisfying bang. Life in prison without possibility of parole. It was over. Really, truly over. Outside the courthouse, Minjun pulled her into his arms and held her so tight she could barely breathe. "We're free," he whispered into her hair. "Really free, my love. I can't believe it's finally done." She pulled back to look at him. "What do we do now?" "Now?" He smiled that gorgeous smile that still made her heart skip. "Now we live. We build the life we've been dreaming about." They'd spent the past 3 months in Los Angeles, living in Minjun's penthouse while the legal proceedings happened. But both of them wanted something different, something fresh, a place that was theirs together, not his or hers, but theirs. "I've been thinking," Yara said as they walked to their car. "What about Seattle?" "Seattle?" Minjun looked at her curiously. "It's beautiful there. Not too big, not too small. Perfect weather, and it has an amazing food scene. I could open my restaurant there, make it everything I've dreamed of." She bit her lip nervously. "What do you think?" He stopped walking and cupped her face. "I think Seattle sounds perfect. I can move my company headquarters there. We can start completely fresh. Just you and me." "Really? You'd move your entire company for me?" "Yara, I'd move mountains for you. A company headquarters is nothing." He kissed her softly. "Where you go, I go. That's the deal." 2 weeks later, they were house hunting in Seattle. They looked at modern condos and traditional houses, but nothing felt right until they saw a beautiful craftsman home in a quiet neighborhood. It had a big kitchen perfect for Yara's cooking experiments, a home office for Minjun, and a backyard with cherry blossom trees. "This one," Yara said the moment she walked in. "This is home." Minjun watched her run from room to room like an excited child, and his heart felt so full he thought it might burst. "Then it's ours." They moved in a month later, and Yara had never been happier. Every morning she woke up in their bed, in their home, next to her husband, and felt grateful for how her life had turned out. Minjun was the perfect partner. He helped her unpack boxes, hung pictures where she wanted them, and learned to make coffee just the way she liked it. At night, they'd cook dinner together in their big kitchen, laughing and stealing kisses, and then make love in every room of the house, christening their new home properly. "I love our life," Yara said one evening, curled up on the couch with him. "I love you. I love you more." He kissed the top of her head. "How's the restaurant planning going?" That was the other exciting thing. Yara was finally opening her dream restaurant. Minjun had insisted on funding it completely, calling it a wedding present, though she'd argued she could get a loan. "Let me do this for you," he'd said. "Let me help make your dreams come true. You've already made all of mine come true just by being my wife." How could she argue with that? The restaurant space they'd found was perfect, a corner location in a trendy neighborhood with big windows and exposed brick. Yara had spent weeks planning the menu, designing the interior, hiring staff. It was going to be a fusion restaurant, combining her Nigerian heritage with international flavors, creating something unique and special. "Grand opening is in 2 weeks," she said excitedly. "I'm nervous and excited and terrified all at once." "It's going to be amazing. You're going to be amazing." Minjun pulled her onto his lap. "I'm so proud of you. Thank you for believing in me. Always." He kissed her deeply, and she felt that familiar heat building between them. Even after months together, they still couldn't get enough of each other. His hands slid under her shirt, and she gasped. "Minjun, we have dinner in the oven. I'll be quick." "You're never quick." She laughed but didn't stop him as he pulled her shirt off. "Is that a complaint?" "Definitely not a complaint." They made love on the couch, fast and passionate, and the timer for dinner went off right as they finished. They looked at each other and burst out laughing. Perfect timing, Minjun said, kissing her nose. We're ridiculous. We're in love. He helped her up and swatted her behind playfully. Now, go put clothes on before I forget about dinner entirely. The restaurant's grand opening was more successful than Yara had dared to hope. Every table was full, people were raving about the food, and the local food critic who'd come gave them a glowing review that would run in the paper the next day. Minjun sat at a corner table, watching his wife work the room, greeting guests and glowing with happiness. She was in her element, and she was breathtaking. When the last customer left and the staff was cleaning up, Yara collapsed into the chair next to him. We did it, she said, exhausted but beaming. It's really happening. You did it. This is all you, my brilliant, talented, beautiful wife. He pulled her close. I'm so proud of you I could burst. I couldn't have done it without you. Yes, you could have, but I'm glad you didn't have to. He kissed her temple, ready to go home and celebrate properly. I'm exhausted. I'll do all the work. His voice dropped low and husky, and despite her tiredness, Yara felt heat pool in her belly. You're insatiable. Only with you. Always with you. At home, he kept his promise, making love to her slowly and tenderly, taking care of her, making her feel cherished and adored. Afterward, she lay in his arms, tracing patterns on his chest. I have something to tell you, she said softly. What is it? Her heart pounded. She'd been waiting for the right moment, and this felt perfect. I'm pregnant. Minjun went completely still. Then he sat up so fast he almost knocked her over. What? Really? You're pregnant? She nodded, suddenly nervous. I found out yesterday. I wanted to wait until after the opening to tell you. Are you happy? Happy? His eyes filled with tears. Yara, I'm more than happy. I'm ecstatic. I'm over the moon. I'm everything. He placed his hand gently on her still flat stomach. There's a baby in there. Our baby. Our baby, she confirmed, and then she was crying too. He kissed her stomach reverently, then kissed her lips, soft and sweet. Thank you. Thank you for this gift. Thank you for being you. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for being the best husband in the world. They held each other, crying happy tears, talking about the future, about their baby, about how their family was growing. Minjun couldn't stop touching her stomach like he couldn't quite believe it was real. Boy or girl? He asked. Too early to know. What do you want? I don't care. As long as the baby is healthy and you're healthy, I'll be the happiest man alive. He kissed her stomach again. Though a girl would be nice, a little girl who looks exactly like you. Or a boy who looks like you. Or one of each. He grinned. Maybe we should have a whole bunch of kids. Let's start with one and see how it goes. She laughed. The next few months were like a beautiful dream. The restaurant became the hottest spot in Seattle, with reservations booked weeks in advance. Minjun successfully moved his company. Headquarters and his business thrived, their home filled with laughter and love and plans for the baby. Yara's belly grew, and Minjun was obsessed with it. He talked to it every night, telling their baby stories, singing terrible lullabies in Korean that made Yara laugh. He rubbed her feet when they were swollen, brought her whatever weird food she was craving, and treated her like she was made of glass. I'm pregnant, not broken. She'd protest when he tried to carry her up the stairs. I know, but you're carrying precious cargo. Our baby. Let me take care of you. How could she argue with that? One evening, 6 months pregnant, Yara was working in the restaurant kitchen when Minjun showed up unexpectedly. What are you doing here? She asked, wiping her hands on her apron. Come with me. I have a surprise. Minjun, I'm working. I already cleared it with your staff. They can handle things for an hour. He took her hand. Trust me. He drove them to their house, but when they walked in, It wasn't the same house they'd left that morning. The spare bedroom they'd been planning to turn into a nursery was completely transformed. The walls were painted a soft yellow. A beautiful white crib sat in the corner, already assembled. There was a rocking chair, a changing table, shelves full of books and toys, and decorations that were absolutely perfect. "You did all this today?" Yara gasped, walking around the room in wonder. "I had help, but I wanted to surprise you." He wrapped his arms around her from behind, his hands resting on her belly. "What do you think?" "It's perfect. You're perfect." She turned in his arms. "I love you so much." "I love you more. Both of you." He kissed her, then knelt down and kissed her belly. "Hi, baby. Daddy made you a room. I hope you like it. I can't wait to meet you." Yara ran her fingers through his hair, overcome with emotion. This man, this wonderful, caring, amazing man, was her husband and the father of her child. How did she get so lucky? That night, they made love in the nursery, slow and gentle because of her belly, but no less passionate. Minjun was so careful with her, so tender, making sure she was comfortable, that she felt good. "You're so beautiful like this," he whispered, his hand on her round stomach. "Carrying our baby. You're glowing. I feel huge. You're perfect." He kissed her deeply. "The most beautiful woman I've ever seen." The months passed quickly, filled with doctor appointments and baby shopping and planning. They took birthing classes together, and Minjun was the most attentive student, taking notes and asking questions, determined to be the best partner during delivery. When Yara went into labour on a rainy Seattle morning, Minjun stayed calm and focused, even though inside he was terrified. He held her hand through every contraction, whispered encouragement, wiped her forehead with a cool cloth. "You're doing so good," he kept saying. "So strong. I love you so much." After 12 hours of labour, their daughter was born, tiny and perfect, with a head full of dark hair and her mother's beautiful brown skin. Minjun cried when the doctor placed her in his arms, big, gasping sobs of joy and wonder and overwhelming love. "She's perfect," he choked out. "Yara, look at her. She's absolutely perfect. Just like her daddy." Yara was crying too, exhausted but happier than she'd ever been. They named her Hope because she represented everything good that had come from their crazy, dangerous, beautiful love story. Hope Park, their daughter, their miracle. Minjun couldn't stop staring at her, touching her tiny fingers, marvelling at how something so small could make him feel so much. "I'm a father," he said wonderingly, "and you're going to be the best father." Yara reached out, and he came to sit beside her on the hospital bed, their daughter cradled between them. They sat like that for a long time, the three of them, their little family, complete and perfect and full of love. "Thank you," Minjun whispered. "Thank you for saving me that night in the alley. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for loving me. Thank you for this beautiful life. Thank you for being worth saving." Yara kissed him softly. "I love you, Minjun Park. Forever. Forever," he agreed. "And always." Little Hope yawned and snuggled closer, and both her parents laughed, delighted by every tiny thing she did. The bold African lady and the Korean CEO had found their happily ever after. It had started with violence and danger, but it had bloomed into something beautiful: love, family, forever. And this, right here, holding their daughter together, was just the beginning of their greatest adventure. And that's the end of Yara and Minjun's incredible love story. From a dangerous alley in New York to a beautiful life in Seattle, they proved that true love can survive anything. Share this video with someone who loves a good romance, your best friend, your sister, your mum, anyone who believes in the power of true love. Thank you so much for watching. Your support means everything to us. See you in the next story.